This is the final part of the Behavioral Economics Basics series, and today we will be covering sunk cost fallacy. So, the sunk cost fallacy is when people are reluctant to stop just because of the amount of things they've already invested. So, a sunk cost is any resource, typically money, that has already been used and it cannot be recovered by any method. Even though it can't be recovered at all, it typically affects decision making because of the sunk cost fallacy. It leads people to keep holding on to a decision even though they know it will fail, just because they don't want to let go of something that's already gone. So they think, I've already put so much effort, or I've already put so much money into this, and even though I've already spent it, I'm still going to continue because I've already spent it. So why not just continue? That is the sunk cost fallacy. So rather than cutting the loss, people typically just continue with it because they've first invested in it, and second, they try to be hopeful on the outcome, and it kind of just sort of delude themselves into believing that the result will not be a fail, even though it clearly will be. This directly relates to the loss aversion theory because the emotional intensity associated with the loss makes it very difficult for people to walk away from a decision. This concept exists because of multiple cognitive biases in humans, and as I already said, loss aversion, this is when people prefer to avoid losses over gains of the same value, and this causes them to not want to lose something. The second one is commitment bias. This is when people tend to prefer original plans or decisions. So they prefer to just keep with the original one rather than adapt to new changes. So it makes it hard for them to break away. The last one is the endowment effect. This is when people tend to value objects that they own or have already decided with at a higher value than everything else, or at a higher value than its actual value, which makes it hard to kind of walk away because the loss will feel even greater. An example of this is if I was on a boat that I've just bought with my hard worked income. I'm very rich. I buy a boat, for example. And then I take a sailing, but for some whatever malfunction, it starts sinking. And this can also be a metaphor for sunk cost, but this is a literal example. Is that, oh well, I spent so much money on the ship, then I might as well just stay on it, but you know that you'll sink. Better now you put on your life jacket and go on your inflatable boat rather than just staying on your new expensive boat that is already sinking. This is a very extreme example, but this is essentially the sunk cost fallacy. How to avoid the sunk cost fallacy is that people should just ignore the sunk cost. So rather than considering the amount of effort that's been spent or the amount of money that's been put into before considering a decision, just consider that decision. Don't account for the sunk cost because they're already spent, and just to think, will this benefit me in the future? And ask yourself, would I make this decision if I had not made a past investment? Additionally, especially for stocks, there's a stop limit. So you tell yourself to stop investing at a certain limit, or there's automatic systems that does this, but this is a good way to prevent irrational financial decisions. And with that, the series is concluded. I will post some worksheets and extra practice questions in case you want to get a bit of a review. But yes, thank you.